Let me ask you something. Do you ever lie in bed at night and you just cannot sleep because of that burning, stabbing, prickling feeling in your feet? Or maybe you wake up in the morning and your hands and toes feel completely numb, like they belong to someone else. Or maybe you're walking across the room and you feel that bizarre pins and needles sensation shooting up through your legs, and you think to yourself, is this ever going to stop? If any of that sounds familiar, I want you to stay with me right now, because what I'm about to share with you in the next 20 minutes could genuinely change the way you live your life. Not someday, starting this week. My name is Dr. Sophia Wells. It is not important right now. What is important is this: neuropathy. That nerve pain, that numbness, that tingling, that weakness is one of the most under-discussed, undertreated, and frankly misunderstood conditions affecting people over the age of 60. And the tragedy is that millions of people are suffering quietly, thinking this is just what getting older feels like, thinking they simply have to accept it. They don't, and you don't either. Now, I want to be very honest with you from the start. I'm not going to tell you there's a magic cure. There isn't one. Anyone who tells you they can erase neuropathy completely overnight is not being straight with you. But here's what I can tell you, and what the research is starting to confirm in a serious way. There is a natural compound, something your own body actually makes, that has shown remarkable results in reducing nerve pain, improving sleep, restoring sensation, and slowing the progression of this condition. And by the time we're done today, you'll know exactly what it is, why it works, how much to take, what to watch out for, and the 4 other lifestyle moves that make it work even better. So let's start at the very beginning. To understand why this natural solution works so well, you first need to understand what is actually happening inside your body when neuropathy strikes, because it's not random. It's not just aging. There's a specific process going on, and when you understand it, the solution makes complete sense. Your peripheral nervous system is this incredible network of nerves that runs from your spinal cord all the way out to your fingertips and your toes. These nerves are responsible for everything: feeling temperature, feeling pain, feeling pressure, controlling your balance, and sending movement signals back and forth between your brain and your limbs. Think of them like the electrical wiring inside the walls of a house. When the wiring is healthy, everything works perfectly. But when the wiring gets damaged or frayed, things start to go wrong. In neuropathy, those nerve fibers, that wiring, gets damaged, and the way it usually starts is almost sneaky. It begins in the toes, almost always. You might feel a slight tingling that comes and goes, maybe a small area of numbness on the bottom of your foot. You brush it off, but over time, weeks, months, sometimes years, that damage spreads. It moves from the toes up into the foot, then up into the ankle and the lower leg. In some people, it affects the hands and fingers too. Doctors actually call this a stocking and glove pattern because it follows the exact shape of where you'd wear a stocking on your foot or a glove on your hand. Now, here is the critical thing that most people don't understand about neuropathy. Once it starts, it does not tend to stay the same. It progresses, and the longer you wait to address it, the more of that nerve tissue gets damaged, and the harder it becomes to reverse. This is exactly why seniors over 60 need to pay close attention, because the consequences of untreated neuropathy aren't just discomfort, they are serious. When the nerves in your feet are damaged, you lose sensation. And when you lose sensation, you can step on something sharp and not even feel it. A small cut or sore can go unnoticed for days. And because neuropathy also slows down wound healing, that small sore can develop into a serious infection. This is how people end up losing toes. This is how people end up losing part of a foot. This is a real, preventable tragedy that happens every single day because neuropathy was not taken seriously early enough. And then there's the balance issue. Your nerves don't just tell you what you're touching, they help your brain understand where your body is in space. When those nerve signals get disrupted, your sense of balance gets disrupted. And for someone over 60, that means a dramatically higher risk of falls. Falls that mean broken hips, hospitalizations, surgeries, falls that for many seniors represent a turning point from independence to dependence. So this is not something to take lightly. Neuropathy is serious. But again, there is something you can do about it. So let's talk about what causes it, because that matters too. The number one cause of peripheral neuropathy is diabetes, specifically uncontrolled blood sugar. And if you are diabetic or pre-diabetic, this is especially important for you to hear. When blood sugar stays elevated over time, it damages the walls of the tiny blood vessels that supply your nerves with oxygen and nutrients. Starve those nerves of blood flow long enough, and they start to die. That's diabetic neuropathy, and it affects roughly half of all people living with diabetes. Half. That is an enormous number of people. But here's what surprises a lot of people. You don't have to be diabetic to have neuropathy. Certain chemotherapy drugs are notorious for damaging nerves. Some blood pressure medications, some antibiotics, even some cholesterol-lowering drugs have been linked to nerve damage. A deficiency in vitamin B12, which becomes much more common after age 60 because your stomach produces less acid and absorbs less B12 from food, can cause severe nerve damage on its own. Alcohol over time damages nerves. Autoimmune conditions attack nerves. Thyroid problems, kidney disease, certain infections, all of these can trigger neuropathy. And then, and this is the part that frustrates a lot of people, sometimes doctors genuinely cannot find a cause. This is called idiopathic neuropathy, and it accounts for a surprisingly large percentage of cases, particularly in older adults. Your nerves are damaged, the symptoms are real, but the root cause remains unclear. That can feel incredibly defeating, but here is the hopeful part. The natural compound I'm about to tell you about works regardless of the cause. Whether your neuropathy is diabetic, medication-induced, age-related, or unknown, this approach can help, and that's what makes it so powerful. All right, let's talk about the main event. The compound is called alpha-lipoic acid. You may have heard of it, or you may be hearing about it for the very first time right now. Either way, I want to explain it in a way that makes complete sense, because understanding why something works makes you much more likely to actually use it, and use it correctly. Alpha-lipoic acid, or ALA as it's often abbreviated, is an antioxidant. Your body actually produces it naturally, which is important. It means your body knows how to work with it. It also exists in small amounts in certain foods, things like spinach, broccoli, tomatoes, organ meats like liver. But the amounts you'd get from food are tiny. To get the therapeutic effect that researchers have been studying, you need a concentrated supplement form. Now, what makes alpha-lipoic acid particularly special and different from most other antioxidants is that it is both water-soluble and fat-soluble. Almost every other antioxidant you've heard of works in one environment or the other. Vitamin C is water-soluble, vitamin E is fat-soluble, but ALA works in both. This is enormously important because your nerve cells have components that exist in both water-based and fat-based environments. So ALA can get in and do its job throughout the entire nerve cell in a way that other antioxidants simply cannot. Here is what it's actually doing inside your body. First, it is fighting oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is essentially cellular damage caused by unstable molecules called free radicals. Think of free radicals like sparks that fly off a fire. They damage everything they touch. In neuropathy, oxidative stress is one of the key drivers of nerve damage. ALA neutralizes those free radicals and protects the nerves from further harm. Second, alpha lipoic acid supports the mitochondria, the tiny energy factories inside each of your cells. Nerve cells have enormous energy demands. They need fuel to transmit signals across long distances. When mitochondria are struggling, nerve cells are struggling. ALA helps keep those mitochondria functioning properly, which means your nerves get the energy they need to repair and regenerate. Third, ALA reduces inflammation. Chronic inflammation is one of the most damaging forces in the aging body, and it plays a significant role in nerve damage. By calming that inflammatory process, ALA helps create an environment where healing can happen. Now, let's talk about the research, because I don't want you to just take my word for this. A study published in 2018 looked at 72 people with diabetic neuropathy. These were real patients, real suffering, and they were given 600 milligrams of alpha lipoic acid every single day for 40 days. That's it, no other changes, just that one supplement. And the results were genuinely impressive. Pain scores dropped significantly, disability scores dropped significantly, quality of life scores went up significantly, and here's the number that really stands out to me. About 50% of the participants rated their own health as much better or very much better by the end of the study. Half the people in the study felt meaningfully better after just 40 days of taking a single supplement. That is not a small thing. That represents real relief for real people. And this was not a one-off study. There have been multiple trials looking at ALA and neuropathy, particularly diabetic neuropathy, and the results consistently show benefit in reducing pain, improving nerve conduction, and enhancing quality of life. In fact, ALA has been used in Germany as an approved medical treatment for diabetic neuropathy for decades. Europe was ahead of us on this one. The research has been building for years. Now, what form should you take and how much? This matters, and most people get it wrong. There are two forms of alpha lipoic acid you'll find on supplement shelves. The first is called RALA, which is the form that occurs naturally in the body. The second is called SALA, which is a synthetic mirror image. Most standard supplements contain a mixture of both, and while these are still effective, the R form is considered the more bioavailable and potent form. When you can, look for supplements that specify RALA or stabilized RALA on the label. In terms of dosage, the research has generally used between 300 and 600 milligrams per day. Starting on the lower end and working up is a sensible approach. And, importantly, always talk to your doctor before starting any new supplement, particularly if you are diabetic, because ALA can influence blood sugar levels, which is generally a benefit, but it does mean your doctor may want to monitor things or adjust any medications accordingly. Now, here is where I want to go further than most videos on this topic go, because ALA is powerful, but it works significantly better when you combine it with these 4 lifestyle approaches. Think of ALA as the engine, these 4 things are the fuel. The first is blood sugar management. Even if you are not diabetic, blood sugar swings throughout the day can accelerate nerve damage. Reducing sugar in your diet, cutting back on processed foods, choosing whole foods, proteins, healthy fats, and vegetables, these changes reduce the oxidative stress that damages nerves. If you are diabetic, working with your doctor to get your numbers into a healthy range is genuinely one of the most powerful things you can do for your neuropathy. Not just for your heart, not just for your kidneys, for your nerves specifically. The second is movement. I know that when your feet and legs hurt, the last thing you want to do is exercise. I understand that, but movement, even gentle movement, dramatically improves blood flow to the peripheral nerves. Better blood flow means more oxygen, more nutrients, and better healing. You don't need to run a marathon. A short daily walk, chair exercises, gentle stretching of the feet and calves, these small acts of movement done consistently make a measurable difference. Many people with neuropathy find that regular, gentle movement is one of the things that gives them the most relief over time, even more than medication. The third is sleep quality. This one surprises people, but it shouldn't. Sleep is when your body does the vast majority of its repair work, including nerve repair. When neuropathy pain disrupts your sleep, you enter a painful cycle. Poor sleep worsens pain sensitivity, which worsens sleep. ALA can help here directly because as symptoms calm down, sleep tends to improve. But you can also support better sleep by establishing a consistent bedtime, keeping your bedroom cool and dark, and avoiding screens in the hour before bed. Small things that protect your sleep are protecting your nerve healing at the same time. The fourth is B12 and other key nutrients. As I mentioned earlier, B12 deficiency becomes increasingly common after age 60 because stomach acid production declines and absorption drops. B12 is absolutely essential for nerve health. It literally helps build the protective myelin sheath that wraps around your nerves like insulation around a wire. Without adequate B12, those nerves are exposed and vulnerable. Ask your doctor to check your B12 level at your next visit. It's a simple blood test. If you're low or even borderline, supplementing with methylcobalamin, that's the most absorbable form of B12, can make a significant difference. Magnesium, vitamin D, and omega-3 fatty acids have also shown promise in supporting nerve health, so a well-rounded approach to nutrition pays dividends here. I want to be honest with you about timing because I think managing expectations is actually part of helping you succeed. Some people notice improvement in as little as 2 to 3 weeks on alpha-lipoic acid, a reduction in that burning sensation, slightly less tingling at night, sleeping a little better. Others find it takes 6 to 8 weeks before they notice meaningful change. Nerve tissue heals slowly. That's just the nature of nerve cells. They're not like skin cells that can regenerate quickly. Patience is genuinely part of the process. What I can tell you is that the people who get the best results are the ones who are consistent. They don't take it for 10 days, feel a little better, and stop. They make it part of their daily routine the way they would a blood pressure medication or a vitamin. They combine it with the lifestyle approaches we talked about, and they stay in communication with their doctor, sharing what they're doing and how they're responding. The goal is not perfection. The goal is progress. Less pain this month than last month, better sleep this week than last week, walking a little further than you could before. Those incremental improvements add up to a meaningfully better quality of life, and that is absolutely achievable. Okay, we have covered a lot of ground together today, and I am genuinely proud of you for staying with me through all of it, because the fact that you're here, the fact that you're researching and learning and looking for answers, that already puts you ahead. That is how change happens. So here's what I want you to do right now, not tomorrow, right now, because action taken immediately is action that actually happens. First, write down the words alpha-lipoic acid and RALA. Take that to your next doctor's appointment, show it to your doctor, and ask specifically about trying 300 to 600 milligrams per day for your neuropathy. Bring this up. Advocate for yourself. You deserve that conversation. Second, if you found value in what we talked about today, share this with someone you love. Think about the people in your life, a spouse, a sibling, a friend, who is suffering with neuropathy and may not even know this option exists. Sharing this could genuinely change their life. That's not an exaggeration. That's what happens when the right information reaches the right person at the right time. Third, make one small change this week alongside whatever supplement steps you take. 1 cup less sugar, 1 10-minute walk around the block, one earlier bedtime, just one. Because small, consistent actions compound over time into life-changing results. You are not too old. It is not too late. Your nerves have more capacity to heal than most people are told, and you deserve to live with less pain, better sleep, and more freedom. I'm rooting for you. Now go take that first step.